Greetings, webheads, and welcome to a special crossover edition between Witty Banter and House Party Protocol. Ministravaganza was last week, and it was a big enough event that not only did it take 2 podcasts to cover, but it's going to take 2 episodes. So sit back and enjoy part 1 of the collaboration coverage of Ministravaganza 2024.
Power up, suits, and welcome into another episode of House Party Protocol. My name is Will, and with me today is quite the crew. I literally have a whole other podcast with me today. It's the crew from Witty Banter. What's up, guys? And if y'all step all over each other, it's perfectly fine.
Standard course.
Pretty much.
What's up?
If anybody's listening to our podcast, they know it happens all the time.
Yeah, so guys, thanks for coming on. We've got Patrick.
Thanks for having me, Will.
We've got David.
What's up?
We got Alex.
To be part of it.
And we got JP.
I am the law.
That's right. Where's the helmet? That's the thing. You never take the helmet off. That's a Judge Dredd thing.
I'm the shitty Sylvester Stallone one.
As I say, the Sylvester Stallone one didn't take it off. Yeah, that's why everybody hated that one. But that's okay. We love you here. But yeah, guys. So we got a big podcast. As everyone that is listening to this knows by now, that is an MCP fan, Ministravaganza just happened, and low diggity did we get some good stuff. And I don't know about you guys. Well, I do know about you guys, but I don't know about you guys in that I am hyped for not only the rest of this year, but 2025 and maybe even beyond. Looks like we got some pretty dope stuff. Alex, how do you feel about some of that stuff?
Apocalypse. I'm so stoked for Apocalypse. I'm not a kaiju player for the most part. Juggernaut's about the only one I jump into, but Apocalypse, I'll be eating my words when he comes out because I'll be playing him till he's dead.
Yeah. Is that because you have like a special affinity for that character from the comics, or you just think that model looks dope as hell?
Both. I love the model, especially with the options that they gave for the biomorphic weapons or whatever it's called. Then, yeah, I do have a special spot for Apocalypse. I was lucky enough when I was growing up, my dad worked at a comic shop, and that's kind of where I got my love for the character. It was the first real story that I read about Apocalypse, and one of my favorite X-Men stories. And it was the Age of Apocalypse with Wolverine with the cut off hand and the claw replacement. So that's my love for Apocalypse and why I'm gonna play him until people are sick of seeing him, whether I'm doing good or bad.
Hey, look, that's the thing. When/if the Fantastic Four ever drop, regardless of how they are, that will be my jam. Like, it's one of those things. I said that about Ben Reilly because he's like my favorite Spider character, but I don't have the affinity for Ben Reilly that I do for the Fantastic Four. As a matter of fact, Idris Elba's going to help us reset the clock because I've mentioned it so much.
Reset the clock.
But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying. But it's one of those things where I totally get that. But you know what you have to do is you have to buy another Wolverine model and cut the hand off now. Like, that has to be a thing, right?
Oh yeah, that was the plan because I being the fan I am of Wolverine, I got to do something to heal the scar of exceptional healing, but we'll get into that later.
Hey, spoiler alert. We got to bury that lead. We got to bury it way down.
It's okay. It's okay, Alex. You'll have an instant recovery.
Hey, that is the mission objective. So, Patrick, what got you for this Ministrav, man? Like, what was it that really hit home for you on this one?
Well, I was super excited the minute I heard that the Monsters Unleashed was coming. So it was fun. It was fun to see them. It was fun to see at least 2 of the cards. It was fun to see a close-up version of the Tomb of Dracula that I am never, ever, ever going to get painted. So that was probably what I was most jacked for.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I definitely have a Sanctum Sanctorum sitting in its box with the shrink on over there in the corner right now. It'll
I
be the
got you
same thing.
beat a little bit. Well, you got me beat, I should say. I took my shrink off and opened the box to get out a newspaper stand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought it was the mailbox.
No, it was a newspaper stand.
It was a newspaper stand.
It's the one
Because the
with
mailbox is on
CGR.
your CGR, right? Yeah.
No, that's a newspaper stand.
Oh, is it? I thought
Yeah.
that was a mailbox.
I don't think so.
If we should AMG with their new one-shot card should have separate rules for the terrain that's still in the box.
Yes. Look, I'm going to put this box on the table. This is a size 5 building, guys. All right.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's got pretty pictures on it, at least.
Exactly. It's like, look, can't you tell what this is? It's got the pictures. You just use your imagination. We're pushing little plastic people on the table. It's cool. It's perfectly cool. Well, JP, what for you was a big thing that stood out for you from this mini strav?
Honestly, I think I was more hyped going into it than I was after the reveals.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think like Dracula is cool, but he's not quite what I wanted it to be. Werewolf is cool, but not quite there. Apocalypse, we'll have to see his list. He could be cool. I feel like the design for him is cool, but also very metered and controlled. That's a good and a bad thing, I guess. We'll get to that later. But going into it, I would say like Apocalypse and Dracula were definitely I was the most hyped for those.
All right. Well, last but certainly not least, David, what is the thing that's driving you for this mini strav?
We got to see that 2099 is coming.
Right?
I want to see 2099.
Yeah.
And who else they showed the models for Yondu, right? Like that model actually looks pretty cool. I thought they were gonna go like more older comic Yondu, but they went kind of like a mix match between the comic and MCU.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we go through, we'll talk about some of these models and kind of our thoughts on them and stuff. And I'm right there with you. Is like, I mean, if you've ever seen a comic panel from old school Yondu, it's a whole vibe.
Yeah. So
you know, and they definitely did some fun stuff, I think, with that model and a lot of the models that we have here. But Suits, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to the guys here so you can kind of see what we're going to be talking about today. And really, that is Ministravaganza. We're going to go through every single thing that was released. However, we're going to take it from a bird's eye view. We're going to hot take the hell out of this. So if you like those hot takes, and we're talking hot potato takes, strap in and get ready because it is going to be a good time. With that said, the first main guy that I think everyone, and JP mentioned it, was excited to see was Apocalypse. This was his coming out party, more or less. And one of the things that stood out to me was how lukewarm the response was to this model in a lot of ways, right? And JP, you kind of touched on it, and I want to get more in depth on your take here about, like, one, the model's amazing, right? We saw all the different options that they talked about, and I can't even remember what they all were, but you know, you had the buzzsaw hand, all this different stuff, which I'm super hyped for the model. But when I look at this character card, we don't know enough yet because all of these characters we're going to talk about today, we've only seen the front side. But JP, you came away a little bit lukewarm, and I think that there is definitely some of that sentiment out there. And talk a little bit more about why that is.
For me personally, I like it when models can be splashed. I think it makes the game more interesting from my point of view. When you lock something into just being in an affiliation, it's fine, but it just reduces the creativity in the game. Technically, you can splash him, but he's really, really bad without Horseman, so he's pretty much locked his own affiliation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something interesting going on here. And, Alex, you were really hyped for this character and, you're going to play him no matter what. And you're taking a bit of a different approach to it. And I'm really curious, like, how in comparison you see things on this character.
So I actually agree with JP a lot in the aspect that he's not very splashable. If you compare him to other sixes, he's not a splashable six at all. Even with the in comparison to Hulkbuster, probably one of the least played six threats in the game, and I'd still probably rather splash him around more than Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But I just like the Horseman mechanic so much. Without even knowing who the Horsemen are, I'm just super hyped for the whole process with Apocalypse.
Right, for sure. And that's another thing about this. This model brings obviously a brand new affiliation to the game, arguably an entirely new mechanic. And Patrick, that mechanic is basically that he has a team tactics card leadership, but it doesn't appear it's not a team tactics card leadership because it's actually written on his card as his leadership. But there's also this extra card that comes with him called Master of the Horseman. And how do you feel like that this pushes the game forward?
Well, it's a new mechanic, and I like that AMG's trying stuff out. A lot of it's going to stand or fall based on like who you can make the horseman, because it sounds like that's going to be a more limited list. There's a little part of me that worries that Apocalypse is going to be so many moving parts that he's going to be hard to play and hard to play against. He's just going to kind of break people's brains. But he's so TBD. I think that's the thing that I just can't get my head around. It's just we don't know enough about him to be able to say if he's good or not.
Yeah, absolutely. David, do you feel like that there is something missing on this card that would really drive that discussion forward of like, is he good? We don't know. We do know a little bit about what the Horseman cards are going to be. I mean, we know what the Horseman cards are. We don't know who's going to be with them. But AMG did say that each Horseman is at least 2 different models, which I think is pretty exciting. And then we also know that on his injured side, Apocalypse is immune to conditions. Does that move the needle for you at all?
I mean, he's a 6 threat without action compression, and like he's relying on builders for power generation. Like, what other all the 6 threats have like other ways to gain power, right?
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't. I don't know. The Horsemen, it's all on who the Horsemen are. That's really gonna
Yeah, absolutely.
determine whether or not he's gonna be good or not.
So one of the things that I think we can view from this is MCP has air quotes, and I'm using air quotes, has had a kaiju problem at times with 6 and above threats. And I know a lot of people out there feel like that 6 threats are one of the harder things to balance in the game. 6 and above is one of the harder things to balance in the game. Do you feel like that this might be an example of AMG having a little bit of whiplash and maybe going kind of the other direction with things, David?
Yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, that kind of looks like that's what they're trying to do, because like when you start giving characters extra power generation, like especially in the power phase, it creates like all kinds of jank. And so like
Yeah.
when you have a 6 threat that doesn't have that, then it's like, well, everybody's gonna be like, well, he's not really good because I can't do anything cool with him.
Yeah, I think, and that's really the crux of it all is like feeling empowered for your model that is potentially a third of your squad that you bring in is taken up by one model. And, JP, is that kind of where you're landing with it too?
Well, kind of going back to what I said about him being metered, they were able to make a kaiju in a very controlled design space. So the problem with the previous kaijus were they could just find a home that was best suited for them, and some of the kaijus that they released were just stupid overtuned anyway.
Yeah.
So they're like on the bleeding edge of efficiency as far as design and like list build.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Apocalypse, they were able to really kind of box him in to a power level during
Yeah.
design. And that's a good and a bad thing, I guess. He's not going to be released and just be ripping people's heads off and dissuading people from playing the game. But also, I think there's going to be a ceiling for him. And another thing I worry about is that his list is so his affiliation list is so short that after the initial like endorphin rush of playing Apocalypse list wears off, everyone's gonna look around and realize that they all have the same list.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's a really fair way to look at it. And one of the things for me is the complexity budget that I think that this character is bringing to the tabletop. I mean, you're adding an additional, looks like a tarot size card with all the text on. I mean, it's a wall of text on that horseman card. And it
And
feels,
it's got tokens.
yeah, and there's tokens. And then you're not only having this horseman card, which, and again, I want to say that I think that exploring new design space is very cool, but the complexity budget that you're bringing into this, I think, is on a level that we haven't seen before in MCP. And I could see games going where it's like, hey, Patrick, I'm going to activate Apocalypse, and he's going to do this thing over here. And, oh, yeah, I get an evolution token for that. And, oh, yeah, I get to spend an evolution token for this. And oh, my gosh. And you're just like, what does that card say? What is happening? You know, did somebody vanish? What the heck? You know, like, do you feel that way, too, about it?
And then Apocalypse can pay a power and use power on any of the other Horseman's cards too. So, I mean, Apocalypse's card is like twice as big as it would be otherwise. So, you know, I think he'll be fun. And I don't know. I think it's AMG kind of saying we've overdone our kaijus and we're going to kind of take a step back and focus more on making them thematic in terms of making them efficient.
Yeah. No, I think that's really fair. And, you know, this is one of those things that I think that when we get more information, when we get who those horsemen are, when we get the backside of the card, all of that stuff is going to really inform the overall view of this character. But yeah, that's why these are hot takes, because, you know, right now I think the sentiment might be a little bit suppressed, but that could all change. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Alex, you referenced Wolverine being war. I mean, if he comes out and he's pestilence, I'm going to riot. You know what I mean?
I mean, Hulk was war in the comics. Like, if he's a war,
Give us double
pretty good.
kaiju, cowards.
Yeah, let's
Magneto
go.
was one of the horsemen too, I think.
Yeah,
And
there's
he was
been death. Yeah. So
Everybody's been death at some point.
I mean,
At some point.
at some point, it's comics. Everybody's been everybody at some point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, it's just how it goes, right? There's a dimension out there where, you know, Sugar Man exists, right? I always reference him because he just looks ridiculous.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. He's a bad one.
Yeah.
I hated him.
Just look, I have to mention him like once every 6 months just because there might be a new listener out there that hasn't Googled a picture of Sugar Man. Just do it. Just do it. Have yourself some fun and realize that one day that should come to MCP.
Oof.
BRB, guys, I'm going to Google Sugar Man here.
Yeah. Just prepare to hear a scream. But, you know, we're talking about Apocalypse. Let's talk about these Horseman cards, because I think that this is the fuel of Apocalypse. And when I read the Horseman cards, when I think about this mechanic, this sounds a lot like Infinity Gems. Would you agree with that, Alex?
Yeah, it gave me real Infinity Gym vibes too. But a little better, personally, I think. Because not only does it give a superpower, but it also gives ways of building up those evolution tokens, which makes all of them better. Not just two models, whoever the horseman is, and Apocalypse, but it makes all five of them better because it gives the reroll opportunities.
Right. And do you feel like that there's any of these horseman cards that really capture that flavor of what they should be doing in the first place?
The superpower and how they get the evolution tokens. Yes, I feel as though at the very basic, like on the card, yes. But without knowing who all the horsemen are, and that could be a little bit where it gets thrown off.
Right.
Because if we have models, for example, like War, that are not good at beating things up, like if for whatever reason Iceman is War, he's got a 4 dice beam. That's not going to do anything.
Right.
So that's just like, it really just depends on the horseman and if the rules reflect the character.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you feel like, JP, that Apocalypse having access to these abilities is really going to determine how you put those out there and who you put them on? For instance, like, if some squishy character has access to death, well, maybe you don't put it on death because then you might not get to use it very much. Do you feel like that changes anything at all?
I think the cards are good. They're
I
they
like
all
the
cost
fact that they
power.
don't add threat. They don't add
They don't
threat.
add threat.
Yeah.
The thing is like they cost power, right? Like a character's kit is designed with superpowers already that cost power. So adding additional superpowers that cost power isn't necessarily like a how what would I say, like a linear increase to power or something. Like it makes them better, obviously, but if they're spending power on this superpower, they're not spending superpower on superpowers that are on their card.
Right.
So, I mean, it's good, but it's not amazing. I think it's really good because Apocalypse can use them.
Right.
So
Now-
like Famine, for instance, I think is probably an auto take.
Right. What does
Just
Famine do?
because it gives him a range 2 teleport.
Right.
And it, like, if you activate your Famine character first and end
Take a
their
power?
activation outside of range 3 of an enemy, you gain an evolution token. So Apocalypse can spend that evolution token for a power, essentially giving him 2 power for the turn, and he can use the port to move up to save himself an action so he can get to midline and still punch. So I think like the superpowers are probably better for Apocalypse himself. Obviously, they're gonna probably come in clutch. Like some of these superpowers are kind of crazy, like War and
Death seems really good. Adding dice,
3 extra dice. Yeah, I mean, they could be pretty crazy for sure.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It's really going to depend on the list. It sounds like they only have 2 characters for each one or something like that. I didn't actually watch Ministravaganza. I just heard secondhand from people what happened. So
yeah, it's at least 2 per is the wording they used. So there could be more. Okay. Yeah. So like it's I don't know. It was a weird thing.
If they draw from like the mutant pool, I'm really not super impressed with mutants in general in this game.
Okay.
Some of them are fine, but a lot of them are kind of turdy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rotation, man, that hurt too.
Oh yeah. Well, then we're saving that. That's the big finale today. Is the card rotation, because that's going to be a big one. But if you're out there listening, we're going to talk more about Apocalypse once we have more information. And I'm sure that you guys over there on Witty Banter are going to do the same thing. And, right now it's just the feels, right? We get in the feels with this game sometimes, and, we want our favorite characters to be the thing that just is so exciting on the tabletop. And when you see a character like Apocalypse, I mean, you mentioned Age of Apocalypse. He had a whole event in the comics that was insane. His recent runs through the House of X, Powers of X, like all the way Fall of X, all that stuff have been dope as hell. And so we want to see that represented on the tabletop. And, this is one of those things where I think that it can maybe not meet our expectations at times. But there are things that happened that maybe did meet our expectations a little bit. And that's some of the other character reveals that we got. And the one I want to start with first is Angel, because I think that's a fun one to start with for a lot of reasons. First of all, that model is insane. Am I right, David?
Yeah, that model is super cool. That both him and Archangel, they're both super
Yes.
awesome looking.
They both look amazing.
I'm just unhappy. I'm gonna have to freehand the halo on his chest.
Which is weird because AMG usually puts that kind of stuff in there. I mean, I guess they didn't want to associate anything with a halo. I don't know.
It's just putting more stress on on my painting skills, which don't really need that.
Yeah, I mean, I just play Grey Lord Supreme. That's me. They're gray most of the time. Maybe
gray is a color.
It is. Maybe there's a splash of a Zenithal Prime, and that's about as far as we go. So what do you guys, hot takes? We'll start with you, Patrick. Angel, what do you think? Like cool or meh?
It's sort of like Angel was what happened when they took a practice swing on Vulture.
Yeah.
He kind of feels like he does the same thing. I think he actually could be pretty, some of the dislocation, some of the movement that he's got. I wasn't really thinking he'd have healing factor, but I suppose that makes sense. I think
it's in the blood, the angel blood.
I guess.
That is what it is. I believe the angel blood or whatever heals him.
Nice. I mean, I guess he's fine. He does something a little different. I guess I'm presuming he's going to be, an X-Men. So I think, fiddling him around with Storm, getting him around with a Hob. I mean, I think there's probably some cool stuff to do with him. But I don't really care because the model's dope as hell. I'm gonna buy it anyway.
Oh yeah, it's a buy for sure. JP, how do you feel about this model?
I think the best thing on this card is probably his spender. Just having an auto throw any direction, size 3 is really good for 3 power.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I am like a habitual airlift forgetter on Sam. So
aren't we all?
Airlift doesn't. I mean, it's a great ability, but man, you really got to be looking for a window for it.
Oh yeah.
And then the hostile takeover is kind of awkward. Like, I wish he had something. I kind of wish he had charge. Maybe it'd be too good, but he's kind of fragile. I don't know. He doesn't have action economy.
Charge or hit and run.
Either one.
Of those.
Either one.
Yeah.
Like you kind of want to like beam and then set up for a throw, but you have to be in position for the beam to do that, or else you don't get both attacks. And then both of his superpowers involve using a move action. I don't know. I'm not super hot on him.
Not super hot, yeah. Well, David, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing. His spender is really good, but like, I mean, I feel like he just does a lot of movement around the table that doesn't amount to anything. Right? Like,
okay, yeah.
He's like moving other characters or moving himself with his beam, but like, what is it gaining? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
if what he's doing is moving around the table and not accomplishing anything, they nailed his character from the comics.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I think of when I think of Angel. It's like, oh, you look cool, but do you actually do anything? Not till you get all angry and angsty. That's when he does stuff. Alex, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Patrick nailed my expectations. Like, if he does anything other than fly, he's already blown my expectations out of the water for a 3 threat. So flight was on the car, and I was like, all right, everything's uphill from here. But X-Men with the addition of Shadow Cat and Iceman, they got the 3 threats that I say need, not because they're fantastic, but because they're 3 threats. They were super oversaturated with 4s. And Angel just adds on to that. Another 3 threat gives them a little bit more flexibility when it comes to threat.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think he's better than Vulture. I was super disappointed with Vulture, and I feel, yeah, Patrick, again, you nailed it. Vulture was the practice swing, and Angel gave him first base. And if he does anything other than fly, I feel as though he's already worth the 3 threat on the table. But they covered everything that I thought was great about him and what was kind of lacking. I wish he had a hit and run instead of a charge, just to work with his movement shenanigans a little better.
Yeah.
And the healing factor was a nice surprise. And then the terrible thing that happened the next day with rotation. But
right, would have been awesome, but yeah, maybe not so much anymore. Well, y'all are mentioning action compression with charge, hit and run, stuff like that. Well, when he levels up, he does seem to gain a charge. So, when I look at Angel compared to Archangel, I definitely see myself vibing much more with Archangel, and especially because he can activate people. Which, what is that on a 4 threat, Patrick? I mean, what kind of nonsense is this with this character?
It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I saw that too, and you're pushing, either an activated or a stagger on a 4 threat. All you gotta do is a wild. He's got the wing shield to help keep him upright. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I think Archangel, as the kids say, he fucks. David, what do you think about Boy Supreme over here?
I mean, the activation is pretty good. The thing to note about that, though, is it requires them to be poisoned, and there are a ton of poison immune characters in the game. So, especially like the ones you would want to activate, like Hulk. So,
yeah,
it's good, but it's not as good as it looks, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But hey, he works well with Apocalypse, because if they're immune to poison, oh wait, no, immunities don't matter. Never mind, because poison finally is something that comes up.
Poison is
I
relevant.
think he's still a fine character, though. Like, his ability to his wilds can change a die to a hit is pretty good.
Yeah, we've seen that kind of thing before. Go ahead, JP.
Every robot's immune to bleed as well, but I don't think we have to worry about Ultron 2 very much longer.
Yeah. No. Nope. I don't think that's happening. And by extension, the original Ultron, who we already didn't worry about, we're gonna extra not worry about. But we'll talk about that later.
7 dice spender. If I get a wild on that and my consolation prize is a stagger, I'm not sad about that.
Right.
No, I mean, I think it's fine. Like, and his power gen is probably fine. Like, with the wilds to hit thing, he could probably do the thing.
I kind of like Angel Spender better, honestly, but it's fine.
Nice. That's a hot take. See, I'm over here just like, who's getting activated this turn? We're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna set it up. It's gonna happen. I believe in the dice. The dice gods will shine on me one day. Okay. Look, I'm just gonna make some custom loaded dice. Don't at me about it. It's gonna happen. I'm just kidding.
Make an all activated squad like Angel and Iron Fist, and just everybody can do that and be a total menace.
Oh yeah, put them in defenders with Strange. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Strange can activate too. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So the next character that got a little bit of a reveal for us is Weapon X. So another version of Wolverine. And yeah, I mean, first thing I got to say about this character, this model is just nailed it. Like just the literally ripped from the comic on the tabletop. And I can't with that because it's so awesome. But then I read this character's card.
How he's like standing on the stump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Chef's
real good.
kiss. All the wires. I love it.
It's incredible. But then I read the card and I'm like, oh, you're doing that with this character. Like, okay, cool. So we want to have a Murderbot 3 that's all over the place. You know, Alex, what do you think about this character? Because you do have an affinity for a handless version of him.
I do. He's a glass cannon. His defenses are not that great. But if the dice gods
And
are
they get
in your
worse.
favor, he's gonna kill something.
Yeah.
He has his superpower that kills me and is a good stepping stone to unfortunately not want me to play him is the same. It's similar to the superpower and reason why I don't play Honey Badger.
Yeah.
If you cannot interact with the objectives, you seem almost pointless to me. And he can't hold objectives, he can't interact, so he's not winning a game for you unless you kill things.
I actually think he can contest the cures.
Oh.
He 100% can. And
He
Yeah,
can
'cause
contest, but then once he's injured, he's pointless.
he can't. He just can't do it with the extract. He can do whatever he wants
Yeah.
on the secure. He just can't pick
No,
stuff
he
up.
cannot contest, actually. This character cannot pick up, hold, contest, or interact with extract objective
with
tokens.
extract
Extracts.
tokens.
Yes,
And
secures he can.
that's gonna have to be a forum. Where the comma's placed, I think Alex might be right. It's contest, comma, or interact with extract object token. I
That's
think
gonna be a big deal.
Yeah,
Mm.
because that can be read both ways. I mean, the
Yeah, I
entire,
suppose I didn't read it that way.
yeah, the entire interpretation of the Second Amendment turned on a comma. So I think free protocols might too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Weapon X is going to turn on a comma. I'm sure of it.
I guess it really depends on how Honey Badgers is worded, because if it's the worded the same way, then I would rule it the same way.
To the Google.
So why? I guess I have a problem with the placement of the word hold
Yeah.
and pick up. Right? Like, why would they put contest in the middle there?
So Ankle Biter specifically says this character cannot contest, interact with, or hold objective tokens.
Yeah.
This references extract tokens specifically.
Yep. So I think then in that case, just based on the wording, he would still be able to do things with secures.
So here's the question
Okay,
then.
I'll play him more often than
Yeah.
Honey Badger.
And
'Cause he can
Nebula,
at least do half the game.
Nebula's card's
Well-
written the same way as Honey Badger's.
Okay.
I mean, he can murder. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he
say
can
he
murder. It's just
Yeah,
if you
let's-
look at him wrong with almost any attack type, he just falls apart.
Let's talk about that murder. So, like, a lot of people say X-23 is a murder machine for a 3 threat. She essentially, let's give her a little extra. Let's just say a reroll's worth a die. So
Okay.
she's got a 6-die attack with Pierce, and he's got a 5-die attack with Pierce, followed by a 6-die attack with Pierce if he attacks the same target. So he's almost on her level. But when he contests a secure, he adds 2 more. He's absolutely insane.
Insane.
And that works with his spender too.
Yes. He is
Yeah.
ridiculous, but I can't think of more of a glass cannon in the game.
Yeah.
5
No.
the fact that he
Two is
loses a defense
Holy-
die.
Well, with exceptional getting rotated out too, like he's got nothing
I mean, it's
to save him.
it's one of those things, right? Where like, and we still don't know what the injured side looks like, but based on his healthy side here, yeah, he's he's worse when he's standing next to a secure defensively, but he's better offensively. And so, like, I think it's one of those characters that creates a really interesting, like, puzzle on the tabletop for players to dissect of, okay, well, if I don't go into this character, he's going to eat me alive. If I do go into this character and I don't finish him off, he's going to eat me alive. Pick your poison. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I think
and
that kind of stuff.
Is he the first character with Game Factor 3?
I think so.
Yes.
I think he's
like,
this
insane.
game's version of a pawn. You're just trying to trade him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, he's
gonna
gotta-
die.
Yeah, he's the ultimate Leroy Jenkins character. Just
Send him
get
into
in,
something.
get him going.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I see that
He's
down.
going to be pretty ridiculous with Thanos' Death Decrees.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Aaron
Nice.
Franklin's unaffiliated Thanos list would definitely like Weapon X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this character, from everything that was revealed, all of it, this one is the one where I'm like the most, what is going to happen? Because I could see us having a conversation 6 months from now, and it's like, everybody's like, Weapon X slaps, y'all. But then again, I could be like, who's that guy? Wait, what? Leroy what?
The only other issue with him is that he competes with Logan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Because Logan
Yeah.
is a freaking beast. Tornado Claw is dumb.
It's pretty crazy.
That's
But-
one of the
Weapon X
best spenders in the game
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No.
really good.
on a 4 threat. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No.
The Weapon X spender is really good too. Especially if you're on the secure. Throwing 9 dice that can become 18 dice if you roll 2 wilds.
Sure.
That's
But
really good.
But Logan's 7 dice, 2 rerolls, and Pierce. And a beam.
Oh, agreed. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm
no.
not saying
No.
one is better than the other. Well, Logan's is better, but on a 3 threat, that's not something to just brush under the rug.
Yeah.
It creates a weird competition between him and X-23 because they're both kind of just murder bots, and you just sort of have to season to flavor. Maybe you do one where you know he's going to sit on secure, and one where he does where you're not. But it seemed like they occupy a real similar space.
yeah.
I
And
think-
I
then,
mean,
I
why
think when
not?
you-
Both.
When you can hit that level of death in a 3 threat, you just double down on that.
Yeah, that's true.
You just push your chips into the middle of the table.
that's
You
what
get 6
Weapon X
threat
feels like.
with like, man, the killing power of way more threat.
6 threat, a stabby.
Mm.
Well, what's funny
Healing factor
is,
3 is kind of weird
Heal-
to me.
yeah, it's super weird.
It's the first time we've seen it, and it's on a 5 health character.
Yeah.
It's cool, but
Does the Wolverines card work on that?
It's James
On
Logan.
Weapon X?
Hewitt. That's a good point. I think so.
Yeah.
It does.
look,
It does. Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Interesting.
That might be
It's a lot
spicy.
of murder. Lot of murder.
Yeah. So if you really absolutely want it filleted, just call the Wolverines.
Yeah, because then he can't be pushed or thrown off the secure that's giving him the extra dice.
Yep.
Yep.
Spicy.
re-rolling his attack dice when he's got those giant attack dice pools. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
That could be kind of
Yeah.
good, actually. It's so expensive, though.
Yeah.
Why did they make it cost 3 each?
Yeah, it is weird.
So much. 6 power.
Because they knew this character was coming out, and they were like, "Ooh, I don't know if we
They're
can
like,
make
they're
this any
gonna do
cheaper."
it with this character.
Yeah. When that card come out like 3 years ago, they knew it. They knew they
Well,
had to force it.
It's not like
It
not like
was
It came out in the
May
X-23
of
box, right?
2021.
it's not like we got any other cards to play with. You might as well.
Might
Jeez.
as well.
They
Yeah.
all the rest of them went away.
Yeah. Well,
It's true.
we're
Sure.
talking about Weapon X, but we also got to talk about his box mate, which is Maverick, which I don't know about you guys and y'all listening at home, but I remember that episode of the cartoon where you get to meet Maverick and everybody, and I was like, who is that? That is a cool looking character. And then I had the action figure, the blue with the gold, the whole 9 yards. I had no idea who that dude was, but he just looked so cool. You
Oh
know?
my god. The 90s have called and want their vibe back.
Seriously. But this model looks awesome, totally captures, except they should have painted in blue. Like that should be very, very blue where it's gray on his model, which I'm disappointed in your painting there, AMG, for once. But no. If you want to talk about a character with crazy healing factor shenanigans and what's he like, Maverick seems like the opposite of that, because he is the first character that we have that comes with something that specifically mentions the healing factor superpower. Or it doesn't mention it in that way, but it's like, hey, if they're going to heal, guess what? Bad stuff happens.
It's suggested in the superpower name.
Yes, there it is. It's heavily suggested in the superpower name. But
it's really, really, really good.
Right. So, Patrick, do you see people being like, oh, I see that patch-up play you're setting up over there. You spend that power, and then for 2 power, I'm going to say, nope.
Well, I mean, he turns off Immortal Hulk, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
just the green door heal.
Yeah, he turns off the green door heal. Well, and he could turn off the patch up, right? So like the patch up to try to get the immortality token off.
Yeah.
I mean, if absolutely nothing else, he's just the ultimate Immortal Hulk tech.
I mean, if you need so Immortal Hulk is going to activate. His team's going to activate before the Maverick team. I'm assuming he's got a 7th threat on their side. So, Immortal Hulk starts with 3 power, and if Maverick's in range 3 of Immortal Hulk, he just moves up, throws Maverick medium, and then gets healed, right?
Yeah.
If they really keep the heal off.
But that's if you're thinking like a true sweat, and
you're making the Immortal Hulk player shift his activations over and deal with Maverick instead of doing all the other damage that he would do otherwise. So
let me give you a better one. You pay 3 to Gamma Leap. You get outside range 3 of Maverick, and then you punch something in the face twice, and then get healed.
Sounds good too.
Or you just have Angel grab him and bring him over.
Yeah, there you go.
Airlift can only work on range 2 or size 2 dudes.
Oh, dang it.
Is he size 3?
Why you got to ruin the fun, JP?
Oh, you're talking about Angel lifting Maverick?
You're
Sorry.
the fun police.
Yeah, Angel just grabs.
I thought you were talking about Angel flexing and lifting Hulk.
I mean, he's a big, strong boy. Those angel wings can lift a lot. It's the hands that are the problem. It's the hands that are the problem. It's the baby hands.
It's the baby hands.
Yeah. But when I look at this character of Maverick, there's a lot of stuff that we've seen on this character. Like, we've seen this kind of stuff before on other characters, with the exception of the anti-healing tech. And David, how do you feel about this character as a 3 threat? Because it's one that looks fun and interesting and just like a straight up solid 3 to me.
Yeah, I think he's got like all the things you could want, right? Like, he's got a spender that throws. He's got like a good a decent builder. He's got a pretty cool rapid fire gainer. Like, I think he's fine. He's like a solid 3. He's a little bit squishy, but I mean, he's a 3.
Yep, exactly. Patrick, does he move the needle for you at all?
I guess he's just, everything else on his kit kind of feels like I could bring somebody else to do that better. But that anti-healing factor thing just really gets my wheel spinning in terms of what you can do with him. I feel like he's going to be sort of a tech piece where you're going to just bring him along for real specific purposes. If he didn't have that, I don't know that he would be anything special.
Yeah. Alex, how do you feel about what Patrick said there about as a tech piece? It's like, oh, you look at the tournament list before you show up and you're like, oh, I see there's a bunch of Weapon X and X-Men and X-Force players here. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm putting Maverick in my list. Do you feel like that's where he's going to land?
Absolutely. Stopping not only healing factor, but like random models out there too, like iHulk. One that I just thought of, Nebula. He could stop Nebula from healing.
Yeah.
But stopping a tactics card is huge. Because there's nothing in the game that stops a tactic card, or if there is, I can't think of it. Other than like
stuff that stops from playing a tactics card, but nothing that like counter the attack discard now.
Right. But two things that really jumped out to me is like one, his rapid fire, I think, is the only energy based rapid fire, so that's huge.
Yeah.
And
Tiny Tony. Tiny Tony's is energy.
well, we just talked about how he doesn't really get played much any, so I
Yeah,
don't know
nobody
if that
plays,
counts.
but he definitely has one.
Tiny Tony.
But the other two tech pieces on his kit that I saw was the hit and run. That's nice. It gets him in position or better spots for everything. But then his what's it called? The kinetic energy absorption. That one I think is super neat. When he takes damage from a physical attack but isn't dazed, he gains an additional gains of power and advances short. And I think that is huge. I mean, he essentially comes with fallback on his kit for free.
Yeah, because
Or
it's any
aggressive.
yeah, it's any direction advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That, and then, you know, when I think of characters or affiliations that I struggle against with what I play, Sam, and I see Maverick, and I'm thinking, oh man, Maverick seems to have a good time against Sam lists, because like Luke Cage just eats my lunch in a Sam's list. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh well, yeah, you don't heal, and I'm gonna follow you when you try to get away with the Sam hop or whatever. You know?
Oh, I didn't even think. Yeah, that does affect Sam's leadership too. The anti healing
and Asgard with Prince Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I think there's a lot of fun. Maybe I lean more slightly cute than good tech that you can play with this. But, you know, I don't know. I think there's some hype here, and it's just a character that I like. And it's one of those where I don't paint often. Like I said, Grey Lord Supreme, live that truth. But I'm painting this dude with his blue. It's, I don't know why. It's got to be blue. It's, you know, I just live that life. So, speaking of characters that don't make me very blue, the next one on our list here is going to be Sunspot. And first thing, this model, again, talk about capturing the theme of the character. And man, another one where I had that action figure and it was awesome. And they just nailed it. And, you know, David, you're literally painting right now. So I got to get your opinion on this model.
I do like the beam going into the ground and now he's like about to punch. I think it's a cool model. I like the model a lot, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to transport
now that
it.
I can see it.
Yeah. Like I hope that the arm and the blast, like at least down into the wave of the blast, is like all one piece or something.
Yeah, it could be a little like wobbly.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Storm.
Storm wobble's a thing. But, you know, JP, I got to get your opinion on this character now because, you know, you're Lord of No Fun, apparently, with taking away all the fun toys that Maverick had with your very, very rational takes. What do you think about Sunspot here?
The first time I read Sunspot, I absolutely hated him. But after rereading him and seeing that after he moves, he gets a flare token, I had to reconsider him.
Yeah.
Because at worst, he's double moving and picking up an extract and getting 2 flare tokens. And at that point, he can throw a size 2. Which is pretty good for 2 power.
Oh yeah,
he can
Valkyrie.
also, he's a 4 threat that can pump up a builder to 8 dice and auto incinerate. So there's a lot to unpack on this card, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's the most nuanced character in the whole release. I think the flare counter management is going to be really interesting, and probably a lot of people are going to misplay it. It's going to be definitely striking.
You can get that off of a Midnight Sun's bump, right? He gets a flare.
Yeah. Yep.
After he ends the movement.
Yep. So if he's thrown,
or if Angel picks him up.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But his when I first read him, I really didn't like the double trigger on his builder. like just to get a flare token. Felt kind of bad, but since he has charge, he can just auto get one. And the charge is kind of weird. Like if he has 3 counters, he can charge long and he gains flight, but I guess you're missing out on gaining a flare token there because you gain a flare token after you move. So if you have 3 flare tokens already, you move long, but you don't get the flare token for moving. So I think, I don't know. Like I said, he's very nuanced. You're going to have to figure out like where you're spending flare tokens, where you're not. Because if you can get that throw up to 3 flares, you're talking about like a kingpin or vision throw, which is one of the best throws in the game. And having incinerate on demand and also being able to just like nuke somebody for an 8 dice builder is pretty insane.
Right, yeah. And the nuance of this character, you know, I feel like that when you start to try to manage all this different stuff, I mean, here we go, a token hype character, you know what I mean? Like we've got one in Apocalypse and now we've got one in Sunspot. And Patrick, do you feel like that adding a complexity like this to the game and to like if you're playing this character and you are in a tournament, right? You already have so much to manage. Do you feel like that it's just an easy thing that you're going to miss if you're trying to play this character?
If you're going into a tournament with Sunspot, you gotta plan for those. I think it's more if the person at the other end of the table is looking at Sunspot and going, okay, is he gonna run away long with this? Is he gonna throw something at me? Is he gonna just add a bunch of dice? I love it. I'm super digging Sunspot.
Yeah, I think he's pretty cool. Alex, how do you feel about him?
I like him. JP kind of covered everything that I was going to say about him. Because at first I was a little turned off with the flare system, and I was a little underwhelmed with him. But then once I read the card again, I really like the flare system. Having the up to size 3 throw, long move with a charge. I think he's a solid 4 threat personally.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a little bit better. I don't like that his builder's range 2. I would prefer that it's range 3, and it would make more sense for it to be range 3. But I think that's really the only issue I have with him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. David, how about you?
I mean, I think he can move around. I think he can hit. I mean, he's a little on the squishier side for a 4,
Yeah.
but I think that could be fine if you're kind of just like you could kind of do the like Sam plan, right, where you're charging away from danger, basically.
I'm hoping he has 6 health on his back.
Yeah, he needs to have 6 health on his back. I think if he has 5, that's kind of bad for him.
Yeah, no, I think that's really fair. But now let's take a look at his box mate. You know, his whole weird talking warlock techno organic virus person. Yeah, he talks so weird. I love it so much. This model is another one that looks really cool, and you know, I'm excited to get both of these models. I think they look really great. They're going to look great on the tabletop. But this character has walls of text on his card. It's a jam-packed card. And Patrick, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel about this character?
Well, I'm just recovering from the preemptive PTSD I'm going to have from painting him. That just looks wildly complicated.
Oh, look, I'll break it down. All right, you ready? I got the secret sauce for this one.
I'm taking notes.
All right. So you spray him black, and then you get that real fancy dry brush that you have sitting there, and you just go to town with some gold. Done. Done.
I like it.
Great success.
This is why you're the professional. I have not wrapped my head around Warlock in terms of what he is as a character. I don't know. I mean, he's got some cool stuff, but I don't know how he fits together. He seems like he could kind of go away pretty easy. I don't know. I don't know what he's supposed to do. I got nothing on this one. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know David's over there thinking hard about Warlock and what the hot take on Warlock is. So let's hear it.
I mean, I think he might be pretty good with Magneto Brotherhood.
Oh,
Like he can throw a lot of terrain.
Yeah, that's true.
or just destroy it. He can just destroy it randomly.
Doesn't
Yeah,
Magneto
which
do
is-
that enough himself, though? Have you ever
I
seen a
know
Magneto
that's the
table?
problem. That's the problem. It's like Magneto wants to throw that stuff. So like, does he really want another character that's like destroying terrain too? But I mean, he could be kind of good there though. If you're wanting to play Magneto Brotherhood,
Maybe he's
or whatever
anti-Magneto.
that's worth.
Maybe he's anti-Magneto tech and
Ooh.
I
clear
mean,
out terrain.
using it to destroy terrain is pretty good. And I mean his builder does double condition on a wild trigger, which is
Right.
I guess
That's an
it's
interesting
fine.
thing. Is on one single wild, you're getting 2 conditions out of it, as opposed to how a lot of things like that read, where it's a for each situation. And funnily enough, both of those conditions are the conditions you need to activate somebody with Archangel. JP, does that interest you at all?
I just lost some room in my pants.
I could tell from here. I could tell.
I'm not sure. He's got 5 health, 3 physical, 3 energy, and he gains a die if he's outside of range 3 of the attacker, which is kind of rare. Like at range 4, range 5 attackers are definitely in the minority. He can heal himself, but again, he's got 5 health with like puny defenses, no damage reduction. I think his spender's pretty insane for a 3 threat. You can get a 10 dice attack that throws on a wild.
Oh, and some rerolls in there.
And its energy, it's pretty good. His blaster or his buster cannon isn't. I mean, it's pretty good. Range
It's
4,
pretty good.
5 dice.
Shock is
Wild-
always welcome.
Wild shock is good.
Yeah.
I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's changing the game.
Yeah. No. I
What
think
do you
that's
guys think he's going to be affiliated?
the new one
Mutants?
that are mutants? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
guess
he gonna
we'll
be
have to see.
only that though?
I can't think of anything else lore-wise that he was in.
I mean, he'd be X-Men, I would assume. Maybe.
Yes.
Like he was adjacent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess New Mutants are sort of in the Venn diagram of X-Men, so that's probably true.
Yeah.
I'm not really seeing anything exploitable in his card.
Oh yeah. Sweaty JP.
Yeah.
You're just dripping, man.
Can you see the outline here?
Yeah, I see it. I see it. You're like that meme of the guy that's like just dripping sweat constantly. I can just see it. You know what I mean? If you were a COD player,
Jordan Peele.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Alex,
We're
I gotta
soulmates.
get your take here.
I feel like he's a solid 3 threat. Again, like I have a different feel for 3 threats. Like my expectations are, well, if they do one thing, I'm happy. I don't expect them to be Zemo level. I don't expect them to be
No, they got
X-Men 3
all the
level.
threes. They gotta be Miles, Zemo, and like Sam. They
But
gotta be
that's the
all that.
thing, like,
X-23.
Yeah.
I can't have that expectation of them being S tier for everybody.
Right.
You gotta, unfortunately, you just gotta have some models that are an A tier or a B tier. How dare we?
And thematic, you know what I mean? Like I think that
Right.
that Warlock has a lot of theme going on his card, which I really like. Especially the name of that spender, Self Must Protect Self Friend. Nailed
Right.
it.
I love it, and like that spender just blows my mind that it's on a 3 threat.
The spender's the
It's-
best thing on his card for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Electro Spender, but better. So I am shocked that they did that on a 3 threat, and I can't really tell in the pictures. Do we know if Warlock is on a medium or a small base?
It's really hard to tell the way that
Yeah.
model looks, and it's because we don't like they show the picture of Sunspot, and it looks like Sunspot's on a big base. It looks
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
it, but then you see Warlock, and it looks like he's a bigger model, but maybe on a smaller base. It's hard to tell.
Oh, that's definitely that's definitely a small base. Ugh.
Yeah.
I was hoping Warlock was on a medium base, but okay, yeah, darn. I like Warlock though. For a 3 threat, he seems decently solid, especially again if he's X-Men. It'll help their oversaturation force.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely for sure. So, speaking of things that have needed some love and are not oversaturated, we got the monsters packs coming, and we got a couple of characters revealed from that. One of which is Werewolf by Night, and this is one where like this model looks super cool. It's a werewolf, cool. I am just ever so disappointed that they didn't go with like flat face werewolf, because like that's Werewolf by Night, right? Like Werewolf by Night is a flat faced werewolf. Like we watched the special, right? But even before that, you go back and you see the comics, like where Moon Knight's first introduction is in a Werewolf by Night comic, and it's that like old school Lon Chaney type werewolf. So I like this model. I hope that there is an option for flat face. I doubt it, but man, Patrick, it seems like you're vibing this, right?
I love the model. Putting him in basketball shorts is an interesting decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that with the shorts, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, it's Teen Wolf.
Give me a keg of beer.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Well, I know what my intro is for this episode. So, yeah, right there. But you know, David, when we see this character's card here, I like it, man. Like, you know, I know there was some shade out there, but I'm feeling it.
I like him too. I think he's pretty good. Like he can like move around the table and murder. Like he's on a medium base, right?
I think so, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I don't know if they said that or not. But
I mean,
he's on a custom base, which I love.
if he's on a medium base, he's size 3, a pounce. I mean, that's good damage. Like, and he can like, he's got a 6 dice range rebuilder, pretty good.
And
He
he leaps on his.
bleed in hexes on a hit. That's
Yeah.
it's real good. And you auto throws, pretty good. I think he's pretty good. I like him.
Yeah, Alex, I
He's a
gotta
little
get your.
defensively shaky for 5, but I
Look,
mean,
it's the Weapon X theory of you just murder it and then you don't have to worry about it murdering you back.
I do like his howl thing. The fact that you're probably either gonna take power from him or slow or root them. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Alex, what do you think about this character?
Like him, but looking at his card, like he has a lot of things that he can do, which is nice to see on a 5 threat. But that's the issue I have with him. He's a 5 threat. I think he's a little too expensive for a 5. Or excuse me, I think what he has is not enough to be a 5 threat.
Oh, okay.
'Cause yeah, he's got a 6-die builder, but we all know how the dice gods are.
Oh, they
You know,
hate
I'll roll
me.
3 hits, and my opponent will roll 2 successes, and I'll get 1 power. So you'll be able to use his superpower turn 2. Great. So we're off to a good start there. Yeah, I personally think he's just a little expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean he's got a clapback, which is cool, but I don't know. There's a lot to him that I'm like, man, this is a cut. Like they copied something from one character and pasted it onto his character.
Yeah. No, that's now that is a take. You know, I mean, I think we have a lot of that at times in this game is some copy paste action. You know, Patrick, how do you feel about what Alex said there and about this character in general?
He's expensive, and I mean, I'm just kind of fascinated by the unearthly howl because it's a character can be affected by this once per turn, and it's within 3, and it's only 2 power. So you could like pop 2 or 3 different characters in a turn and knock down, you know, maybe an average of 1 or 2 power off of each of them. That in
Maybe
addition to everything else.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in addition to everything else that he does, you know, he's got the pounce. He can leap off of his builder. Uh, I I think I, I think I'll be interested to see how he fits in with kind of the rest of the monsters, but he seems kind of, saber-toothy with some additional toys on him.
Yeah, I think I like him a little more than like an Apex Predator type Sabretooth because of Midnight Massacre being range 3. I mean, cool, man. You want to come at me? Eat these 6 dice.
I kind of share sentiments with everybody on different points. I think healing factor on him is better than most characters because he's got a higher health pool. He's got more of a chance to survive and be able to take advantage of it. 6 dice builder's good for a 5. Not amazing, but definitely good. I don't like the compulsory place on the wild. If it was optional, I would like it a lot better.
Yeah.
I'd like it if it auto bled, not based on damage. I mean, for a 5 threat, like, I don't know. Some of these triggers are just kind of not where my head's at for it. The spender is kind of underwhelming. Like, if you compare it to Angel Spender, it's like 1 less range, and you have to throw the target away. And then I guess on hits, you can add Bleed and Hex, which is good. Hex is amazing, but like for a 5 threat, comparing it to a 3 threats builder, I don't know. Pounce, yeah, Pounce is great, especially under size 3. It's only short though. Like Sabretooth is 3, or sorry, Sabretooth is medium. The new Thor is medium.
Right.
Going short for 3 power seems expensive for a character who doesn't gain an extra power per turn, which is another thing that's kind of weird. Like 5 threats who don't gain extra power in any way are a little questionable. I mean, they can be good, but it's definitely getting to the threat level where you are looking for something on the card where it says gain an extra power, gain an extra 2 power per turn. To be able to fuel all these superpowers, he's gonna have to roll hot on that builder.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what we do, right? We just roll hot. You just talk to
Yeah,
your
just roll
dice ahead
good.
of time and you say we're going to
Yeah.
roll good today, guys. Right?
Yep.
I kind of wish his builder had Pierce. Like it would make sense if it did,
Oh,
Yeah.
spicy.
and it'd be good.
Or even if it applied like Hex.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be
Hex would be
crazy.
great.
Yeah,
yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be insane. That'd be insane. Yeah, it's a character that, I think it looks like he's going to be fun overall on the tabletop, but I think JP really hit on the biggest point with this character, and it's power generation. I mean, it's straight dice. It's dice and whatever damage you get, and I think that's where you're going to be make or break with this character, and then depending on what affiliations he's in, that can really kind of that's the reason why he doesn't gain that extra power. Who knows? But the next character and the last character whose card got revealed before we tell you guys all about the other ones that we didn't know that were coming, and that is Dracula. And this is another one where the model just, way to go, AMG. You nailed it. And man, is he giving you the sexy eyes. And I mean, he's doing it. He's just like, come here, baby. Let me whisper in your ear. You know what I'm saying? At least that's what I think.
If he's looking at the ear, he's not looking to whisper.
That's true. He's gonna start with the earlobe before getting down to the neck. It's a pro move right there. Okay, it's pro move. I'm just saying. But JP, I want to start with you on Dracula here. How do you think that this character looks on the tabletop? Because there is a lot going on with this character card.
Yeah. He's a 5 threat, and his builder is definitely damage wise above curve, and that trigger is insane.
Insane.
On a hit, you can slow root or hex. That is ridiculous.
Well,
The
that's
blood.
good.
you got to give him the bleed. That's what he's there for.
Oh yeah. Blood feast is pretty good. It's kind of one of those
Yeah.
like I need it type of attacks,
Yeah.
and maybe I get it. Fear of the Vampire is freaking insane. Hypnotic Stare is amazing. Like Bow's great. Eternal Hunger, like you clap like a clapback. It's great. I guess it's a little awkward. The range band, it gives you range 3, but like his 2 attacks are range 2. So if they're outside range 2, you have to spend 2 and then spend 4 for his spender to actually be able to hit him. I kind of wish they would have made his range bands a little longer, like maybe all 3s.
Ah,
Um,
that'd be a really long sword he's carrying there.
yeah, but they do that. They do that.
They do that, yeah. I mean, Thor's hammer is range 3 currently.
Yeah, exactly. The shapeshifting's cool. I like all the forms. The one thing to note is that the mist can't remove stagger.
Yeah, it can't remove stagger.
Kind of sucks. Because that's probably one of the ones you'd want to remove the most. Especially when like he's giving up an attack action to do this thing. And then the Unholy Vampiric thing, he's got the blade, gain power and lose damage for everybody around him bleeding. He's good. I like him.
His is within 3 though. That's a big note.
Oh, is it 3?
Blades
Yeah,
2.
it is 3. Yeah.
3.
I mean, he's a hoss. Don't get me wrong. He's gonna be
pretty
good.
good.
The thing he's missing a little bit is the range bands and some action economy. He has no place, no charge, no nothing. Like if you displace him, you're basically staggering him, at least.
Yeah.
But he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
For a 5 threat, I mean, I can't ask for much more. I would have liked to see some attack or some action economy on him, but maybe that would make him too good.
Yeah. No, I think that's really fair. And, you're talking about the range bands on him. And when I read this character card and I looked, it's like, oh, he has a clapback. That's awesome. It's only 2 power. That's awesome. Why don't we make Blood Feast range 3? And it's like, well, because for 3 power, now he's back to full health after you attacked him. So good luck.
Yeah.
And when I see stuff like that, I'm like, aha. So maybe the thoughts were there, but I do agree with you. Is like that maybe Ancestral Blade being 3 could have been worthy there. But I'm with you in that I like this character a lot. And David, it seems like you have some thoughts here as well.
Well, the other thing too is like going from like the interaction with Venom, right? Like Venom does basically the same thing, but like bleeding somebody on their last attack of their activation is pretty good because you're like basically ensuring they're gonna take a damage.
Yeah.
His throw is or his spender is fantastic. It's like ridiculously good. It's mystic too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think he's good. I love vampires, so I probably will be playing him anyway. I want to see what he's supposedly a leader,
Right.
and so I want to see what that amounts to.
Yeah, the fact that he comes with a leadership is what they said is pretty interesting. Patrick, I see you seem excited.
Oh, I'm all about spooky season. I'm super jacked for Dracula. Am I reading his shapeshifter right? It's not once. You can use it more than once per turn. So can he like take his 2 moves, miss twice, and then remove 4 damage, and then flop himself around 2 other people with bleed and basically heal 6 in a turn? Am I reading that right?
It does appear that way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean he's limited by the number of actions he can do, so he has to spend 2 actions to do it. But yeah,
I mean, you're burning up his whole turn. I get that, but I don't know. I think I'm really. I mean, look, I had it bought before I bought the car or before I saw the card. So I'm probably not the most objective review, but I'm really excited to get Dracula.
Nice.
Alex, if he's affiliated Midnight Suns, he's going to be turbocharged for sure with the bump.
Oh man.
yeah, he is.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be legit. So, Alex, I want to ask
Is
you.
he on medium base?
Yeah, it looks like it is.
It looks medium.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Unless he's really, really small. He's like miniature Dracula.
He's tiny Ant-Man.
He's the wolf form Batman, Dracula.
Yeah, bat form on a tiny base. He transforms. That's what we're seeing here. This actually says transform. That's pretty sure that's what that is. Well, now I lost my train of thought that I was going to ask Alex. Thanks, guys. Alex,
Welcome to my world.
yeah. How do you feel about this character? I mean, it's one where it seems like we have a pretty wide variety of takes here. Do you feel like that the fact that he brings his own affiliation, does that interest you at all?
So originally when they teased the monsters were coming, they said during Adepticon that they were reskins of previous characters. And both of these characters are not reskins. They've got, like Werewolf is a copy paste of some things, but I feel better about them now that we've seen a little bit. I'm a little more excited for them. The only thing I'm not excited for is the his leadership is more than likely going to be a tactics card. And I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah.
Convocation got it for free, and it makes 50% off. It takes one of their 10, but it doesn't take one of the 5. But every leadership that's come out in a tactics card takes up one of the 5, and I hate that. I can't stand it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a thing, and I think that based on the discussion around Hellfire Club, I could see this as a situation where you hit that whiplash in the other direction, right? Where it's like, oh, that was busted, so maybe we can't make this thing so busted.
Right. And that was the thing, like, I was hoping he just had a leadership. And that's what it seemed like when AMG was discussing it during Adepticon. But then there was no leadership on the card, and I was like, well, if he's a Midnight Suns leader, they lost a tactics card. That was great. And it then made me think, well, maybe the leadership was just too good to have on his card. But then I also look at the Invaders leadership. I'm like, well, that was not that great. So I'm on the fence about the leadership, but I'm more excited about the characters after seeing them because I think Dracula is about as perfect as a 5 gets.
Nice.
I agree with JP. Maybe a little bit more action economy, or if he gained like 2 power a turn instead of 1, I think that would put him kind of in that perfect spot of a 5 threat.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Well, that's all the character cards they showed off, but we did get to see the models painted up, looking nice for Encantu and Frankenstein, the box mates for the monsters. And we got a bit of a roadmap here about when things are coming out, but we also got some other reveals, like that Tomb of Dracula terrain just looks amazing. It's another one that's just going to sit on my shelf, but man, does it look good. Oh, and that's not the last character card that we got revealed. I forgot about one. So we also got the Wrecking Crew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wrecking Crew.
So this is fun because the Wrecking Crew is one of those things where, like, I could have seen a world where each of these characters is their own thing, all of that stuff. But no. They are all on one base, a la Hoff and the boys. And they Voltron into a 4-threat character. And Patrick, what is going on with this card?
Well, I think what they're telling us is that each member of the Wrecking Crew is a 1 threat, which feels about right.
Yeah, it kind of does, right?
I'm digging it. I love how each power basically is one of the characters, and then they've got one thing that they all jam together. I love the fact that all the models have just kind of the generic superhero, supervillain look. It's very fun. I think if you're gonna do the Wrecking Crew, this is a much better way to do it than making them 4 different characters.
Yeah, I completely agree. Alex, how do you feel about these goobers? I think that's a fair way to say it.
I love the idea. I love the concept. I love what they did with the model, and just all the superpowers. The only thing I don't like about the model, and it's just because I tend to hate the rainbow when it comes to painting. This is going to be a painting nightmare. They've got every color with the exception of I think blue, and having to paint 4 models on one base is gonna kind of suck. But
Wow,
don't
Graham's
don't
got a
glue them
blue
on the
belt.
base before you start painting, or else you're gonna have a hard time.
yeah,
You just prime them black and dry brush gold. Let's go.
I mean, it's for the win, baby, for the win. You
pro
know,
move, pro move.
yeah,
That's the way the pros do it.
yeah, that's it right there. I just
But-
leveled up your game today. You're welcome.
I love the character. My favorite part about him is his their Juggernaut push. It's better but worse than Juggernauts, and I just love it.
Yeah, that's very fun. JP, how do you feel about these guys?
When I first read the card, I thought they were complete dog shit. Because I was looking at this like cute little like chain of attacks that probably not going to happen to get your triggers, and like it was just very cutesy. But I went back and looked, and these guys are legit. They are
they are
legit.
Yeah,
Like and they're actually not as complicated as they look. They're basically just attack bots. Like you can't get them off. They're real sticky with the medium push.
and get them off and sticky in one sentence.
Yeah. They gain an extra power a turn, so they're probably going to be able to bulldoze. And like they just have this really cool suite of attacks. They're weird. They have one gainer, and then they have a beam that gains, and then they have like an attack that costs 0 but that gains nothing. But essentially, these guys are going to be able to attack 3 times a round. Like you're going to have to. I'm trying to think of a situation where they can't attack 3 times. And like even round 1, you can move short, throw a beam out, hit somebody, and then push them on the mid, and then contact someone for another damage. And you've essentially attacked and bumped them. It's pretty good. Like kind of like a charge.
Yeah.
And then next round they get another power, so they're back at 2, and that's assuming you only hit one person with a beam. So they're back at 2, and then you indestructible and gain another power, and then like double pile driver. Like you just threw out 3 attacks with a 4 threat for 5, 6 dice. Pretty insane. And if you land the wild, you've staggered them if they're not dead. The only downside
if you stagger them and you beam them and you can throw them.
Yeah, it gets cute though, right? It's 4 dice. You got to do damage with it. But I mean, yeah, it's any size.
It is Mystic though. It's
Mystic. It's beam 4. Like you can give some teams headaches if they're swarming the board. Like the beam 4 is anyone who's played against a Dynamo knows that beam 4 can be deadly.
Yeah. Look, I'm
Well,
pretty
and if
sure
it's Mystic,
whenever I'm pretty
Well,
sure
and they're
Super good.
on a large base too.
yeah,
Are they on a large?
They're on a biggie.
Are they on a large?
There's 4 models there. That's one more
My
than the
God.
guys on the 50 millimeter.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, they squeezed like 5 Ultrons on the medium. So
This is true.
I
It's
still can't. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that you can stagger everybody in the beam. I mean, give these guys a hammer.
Oh, gross. Yeah.
the only downside to it is that like the what character were we talking about? Oh, Archangel. Kind of like Archangel. If someone's immune to stun, they're immune to your stagger, so they're immune
Which
to
in turn means they're immune to the throw too, yeah.
Right. So you're looking at like people you would want to stagger would be like Hulk, Malekith, Thanos. You're not gonna be able to stagger those guys, but
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's fair.
They're still
almost-
Yeah, I read
It's
it.
almost as
stagger
if AMG planned that.
yeah. They're super cool though. They're gonna like throwing 3 attacks out in a turn is just stupid, and then they get like a free damage at least out of a bump, and it could get them somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're really good.
It seems good. David, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm playing against a team that brings some beams to the table, for whatever reason, my models, I'm pretty sure they come alive and slide into perfect beaming zones to just get the sweet beams all over every single one of them. I don't put them there. They just end up like that. You know what I mean? Not via superpowers either. I'm just saying.
You're just conga lining your models around the table.
It's like
Like
I
some-
have a compulsion.
It's
know what I mean?
like some old school 40K.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody get in the chain.
Just line up, guys. Oh, you brought a beam? Well, hang on. Let me set this up perfectly for you. That's how I live my truth. David, you like these guys too, though, I take it?
I think they're really good. For a 4 threat, like I gotta see I wonder if they're gonna be 6'5". They'll probably be 6'5", but maybe they're 6'6". But
Yeah.
like the fact that they gain an extra power is good.
Yeah.
Like they're good. I think they're pretty good.
They're pretty spicy. Well, their box mate is Abomination, which I am very excited for in MCP as a whole. And Schick gave out some really interesting information when he was revealing this model to everyone about how he was originally going to come instead of MODOK in that original wave, but they pushed him back, and now we're getting him like, what, 5 years later? But this model looks cool. They said that it's like a duo model with Immortal Hulk, which I think is really fun. And yeah, I mean, we don't know anything about the character other than it's Abomination, and he's got a giant brick thing in his hand that he's going to hit people with. So I'm here for it.
I like that.
Speculation on threat.
Yeah. So JP, what were you saying?
Speculation on threat.
I mean, if Hulk is a 6 or a 7, Abomination's got to be a 6, right?
I think he's got to be between a 5 and I mean, maybe they go 7, but I don't think they do, just to try to mirror Hulk. But probably 6 is probably where I think they'll be with him. They could go 5 though.
Yeah, Alex, what do you got?
I could see 5.
I think he'll be a 6 threat. They say mirror Hulk, but man, I don't need 2 of those. I don't need 2 of those in my life.
I do.
Yeah, no. I'm here for it.
Well, we know you do. Anything green, you're all over it if it's 6 or higher.
I can take 2 green guys. Yes.
Right, Patrick, what do you got?
I'm just going to be really interested to see how they make him where it just doesn't feel like, oh, it's Hulk again.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So
I'm Abomination agnostic. Other than that,
oh, okay, doesn't interest you too much, Al?
not my jam.
That's fair. I mean, look, Emil Blonsky, he was good in the movies. I liked him in the movies and the show. They did a great job with him. So
He was fantastic in She-Hulk.
yes.
Yeah, he was pretty good in She-Hulk.
So I mentioned Encantu with the mummy guy. We got him. So real quick, I mean, I don't care about Encantu, which that sounds super mean, but like, cool, man, it's a mummy. Like, it's not Imhotep from the mummy movies. So, cool, I guess. But
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with a 2 threat. Just off the top, it's 2 threat, definitely.
It's just a different version of Bob.
Right.
He just dies and comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
The more 2 threats, the better. They gotta. I mean, if you got Werewolves 5, Dracula's 5, they almost have to have like 1 4 and 1 3. Otherwise, putting them all on the table at the same time gets weird.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can
I
see
want
that.
them to be all 5 threats. You can only play them if you're playing 20 threats.
That'd be so
Or you
ridiculous.
just play 3 of them at 15.
That would be fantastic.
JP, what do you got for himself?
I mean, who knows? I
It'd
don't
be
know.
cool though. Like,
It could be anything,
He's
right?
not
It could be anything from like a 3 to a 5 threat, probably.
yeah,
like,
like
see,
if he could be
like-
a cool like sorcerer thing.
This
Who knows?
ancient evil with sorcery. I don't know.
I don't think
Who knows?
Encantu's
Really
ancient
nitpicky.
evil with sorcery. Now, I could see Frankenstein being like a 5 threat. Because,
I think 4 with him,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
like a Colossus or a Rhino or something.
Yeah, you mean that
Yeah.
very hulky
Big
pose he's
tanky
got.
guy.
He should be doesn't do much, but is impossible to kill.
Yep. But
Yeah.
he definitely needs a haircut. I don't understand what's going on with that very 80s metal hair situation.
Yep.
He's got business in the front, man,
Yeah.
but he's ready to party in the back.
He's ready to party with that chain.
Hey man,
I mean, if his haircut didn't tell you, the fur vest does.
It really does. You're right. You're right.
Renfield only had so much to work with when he was getting his parts.
Right. So the next character that we got some information on, I'm not going to go.
Abby normal brain.
Yeah, it's Abby something. Abby normal. We got Mephisto in all his painted up glory. I'm not going to go through all these cards because there's a lot of text on these cards and everything. But Mephisto is going to be wild. We don't know anything other than what these tactics cards are, and I can just say, based on the tactics cards, this character looks like he's going to be totally insane. And David, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to see what his card looks like, but like, yeah, he's probably going to be pretty insane. Like, there's a lot of like, I feel like there's a lot of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't choices.
I mean, he
Like
is
with
the
those
devil.
tactics cards. Like, it's basically like, I think they're pretty good, and he could be pretty good. He could be a pretty good kaiju. Depends on what they do with him.
They
But
said he was a air quotes big model. I don't know what that means, but you know,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say that
see what you did there.
I don't like cards that give my opponent the choice. Doesn't make my armpits
don't
very
think?
pretty. No.
I get that, but it is so fits the theme of him.
It does. I just don't like his one Embrace the Inferno. I like the other ones could be good maybe, but it's just like one of them. It's like your opponent could just put it back in your line of Texas cards. Like okay,
well, JP, you've
I don't know.
clearly never played mind games with MODOK because it's fun as hell.
I played against it a couple times.
Yeah, it's very
And
fun.
it was
when you win the game with
it
a
was
mind
mentally
games,
taxing for me to pick the right stack.
it taxed you a little too much.
A little bit.
Yeah. I'm sure when your opponent set those stacks up, they were like, all right, I'm sure he's going to pick this one. Like, I did the thing where I was playing, I won a game because of mind games, and I put one token by itself on the side. Just like, cool, man. And my buddy, he picked the stack full of tokens. I was like, here's the victory point when I win.
You like super leveraged it.
Yeah. It's great.
Okay.
It's great.
You went all in.
Yeah. It's
You
fun.
YOLO'd that one.
And I think that's Mephisto has a lot of the same energy. Alex, how do you feel about this?
I'm super interested to see what he does. I expect him to be a 7 threat. I don't think he'll be quite as high threat as like Dormammu or Thanos with gems. I expect him to be 7 threat. I like the idea of whatever his mechanic is. I can't remember what those tokens are called.
Devil's
like tokens
Deal.
or whatever.
Yeah, I
that's
have
it.
to see what those tokens do, because like looking at the brand new day tactics card, like they got to do something real good to like I don't know, they just got to do something real good, otherwise your opponent just chooses.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also think he's gonna be very Dark Dimension-esque. More so like he doesn't have an affiliation other than him. And just everybody, if you pick him as your leader, everybody's affiliated. He must be your leader, sort of thing.
Yeah, that could be cool. Patrick, how do you feel about this one?
I'm sure that's what they're gonna do. Playing Mephisto in Dark Dimension would be super fun. I just the way they've captured how Mephisto would play on the table is so, at least from what we've seen in the cards, he just crushed it. And so I'm just more interested to see how they do it. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but it's really, I think you're gonna feel like you're playing Mephisto or playing against Mephisto. So big ups for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Excited to see what the rest of his kit brings. And then we got some fully painted sculpts for Elsa and Man-Thing, which they look amazing. Man-Thing, aka Swamp Thing of Marvel, but very different character, weirdly enough.
Stan Lee just like one day, just like, what's the name gonna be? Man-Thing.
Yeah, it's
All
like,
right,
what's that one's
killing it.
called? It's that one's called Swamp Thing. Well, I can one up that. This one's a man. It's a Man-Thing. That's how that conversation went. Yeah. But they did say that Elsa brings a new leadership to Midnight Suns. And, I can't speak for you guys. I really love Midnight Suns. I think that leadership is really good. And, the affiliated characters don't necessarily line up to make it work at its best at times. But, man, I love that leadership. I think it's a lot of fun, and I hope her leadership feels as good. And I mean, that's a character that I think is really cool, and both these models look like they're going to be amazing. So
I'm
yeah.
super jacked that Elsa's coming. I wish she looked more like the MCU Elsa, but the Midnight Sun's getting a non-Blade leader is pretty awesome.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Blade's unique in that his leadership is really, really good and hard to quantify.
Yeah.
And it can be one of those leaderships that's just feels broken sometimes. And also he's a leader who can feel pretty useless sometimes.
Yeah.
So getting a new leader maybe at a lower threat, like a 3 threat also would be cool.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be
A
spicy.
good leadership.
Yep.
Hopefully. So the thing is like Suns players are so used to having bump that it's, I don't know, it's going to be like withdrawal.
No,
They're going to have to go to the methadone clinic.
Here's what you got to do. I'm full of secret sauces today. So what you got to do is you got to not play them for the rest of the year. You just got to be like, all right, cool. I'm putting the Suns away. I'm getting it out of my system. I'm going cold turkey. I'm just going to say no to the Blade. Just put them down. Put them to the side.
Leaderless.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think JP could do that. I think the kaiju bumps are just too they're too good.
Man,
I mean,
the bump
it
is
is
just so good.
Straight to the veins. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
It's like the speculation on Yondu and Nova being the new Guardians leaders. Like, how do you get rid of Star-Lord? I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how
They
you
have
do
to be
it.
freaking incredible.
But man, your segue there, that was beautiful. I gotta say, I should turn the reins over to you because Yondu and Nova look amazing.
Yeah, they look really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and this
Glad
is
they didn't go like weird archer guy. I mean, he
they
still has a
kinda
bow,
did.
but like, I'm glad they didn't go weird archer guy.
Yeah,
I'm very happy he still has a bow, so at least have some nod to the comic. But yeah, he looks great.
I agree.
Well, now he
with
can
you.
shoot the bow and whistle.
Yes.
Yeah. The bow just gives it a little extra momentum. You know what I mean?
Well,
That oomph.
you got to get it going. It has a certain distance it must travel before you can control it.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
The bow doesn't have a string, so he might just be carrying it around for looks.
That too. I mean, it does look pretty
Ultimate
awesome.
boss move.
It just flies out.
Yeah, he just is holding the bow, and then the whistles just comes from his pocket. Just there he goes, the whistling arrow. Just what is
Gotcha,
that bow
bitch.
for? Yeah, it's for whooping your ass. Yeah, that's what it's. That's for when they get in close. Then we got a reveal that we hadn't seen before.
It's actually a bow staff.
Yeah, that's what it's.
Oh, Lord.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure Hawkeye's model doesn't have a string either, which is just we got to do that. What are we doing?
That's true.
We got a new Inhumans pack, and I know a lot of people out there love some Inhumans. I am not one of them. I am not a fan of Discount X-Men.
I'm not either.
But you know what? These models look pretty cool. Gorgon and a new Black Bolt. We've got Maximus and then Karnak. And they all look great. And it looks like at least Black Bolt's on a big base, and he's really screaming.
He looks pissed.
Yeah. He looks like he's having some angry shouts. But do you guys, any of y'all, like some Inhuman action? I would assume Alex likes some Inhumans. I don't know why. It just seems like he's an Inhumans guy.
I'm indifferent about them. I actually don't know much about them. I'm excited they're getting something because I think, what was their last model they got?
Ms. Marvel?
Yeah.
I think it was Miss Marvel. Like that was 2 years ago, a little over 2 years. So they need some love. They need so much love that I forgot they were an affiliation altogether. So they definitely need something, and I'm happy for the Inhumans players because frankly, after Medusa got her nerf, they fell off the face of the earth for a little bit, and then with this last character update, they had some resurgence, and then they kind of just disappeared again.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely needed a little bit of a glow up. And I know this fills out pretty much the royal court, I say, as I'm not into Inhumans, but I know a lot of people that are. And, so you know, Brian Freddy is a friend. He lives that truth, you know, and there it is. But the next character that came out also is apparently coming with a new set of crisis cards called War of Kings. So you're buying a new set of crisis cards and you get a model, and that's Gladiator. And yeah, I mean, he looks very confident in this model. He really has the confidence thing going. So I'm really excited to see what he does.
He's got a mohawk, man. I'm all in. Let's do this.
I thought about getting my haircut like a mohawk today. Like I told the stylist to do it. And so she did it. And I sent a picture to my wife because we're about to go on vacation next week. And she's like, no. And I was like, but why not? And she goes, do you want some paperwork? I was like,
Paperwork.
Yeah. No, ma'am. I don't want to be handed those papers. No, thanks. No, thanks. But, you know, they talked about having a new set of crisis cards. And Alex, do you feel like that is almost overdue at this point?
Overdue is an understatement. We were, a lot of us locally, and I'm pretty sure the community in general, was hoping for some sort of crisis change with what we have currently. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed when we saw that there were no changes whatsoever. But when they announced that this pack is coming with 10 more crisis, I was super excited, and it's definitely something that we needed. I also like the fact that they kind of stepped in and they wanted to not necessarily make it 100% competitive play style with these crises cards. And there's like a little campaign style to go along with them.
Yeah.
Like certain extract works with certain secure for the campaign.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool to have that flavor in there. And, you know, JP, as the sweaty one of us all, do you feel like crisis card changes and injecting new crisis cards into the game are going to really be beneficial?
From a competitive standpoint?
Well, yeah, because your ultimate sweat.
Yeah, it's not going to help. It's just, I mean, if there's a good crisis card in there, it's going to push the skew harder. If it's good for attrition, it's going to push the attrition skew harder on crises, and vice versa for scenario. I mean, it's not going to do anything until they have a rotation or like a ban on some. I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll be fresh, but it'll settle into a meta, and it'll probably make the meta worse. To be honest.
Yeah. All right, man. Spicy. That's spicy.
Not worse. I mean, I don't think the meta's bad, but it's things that people complain about the meta for, or it's gonna make those voices louder.
Yeah, I could say.
I personally think the game's pretty healthy, but there's a lot of dissenters. So
I agree with you.
Yeah, you'll get like a fresh loaf of bread, and then it sits out for a couple of days, and well, people figured it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, JP, that I think that the meta overall is pretty healthy. But Patrick, how do you feel about injecting new crisis into the veins?
Oh, I think it'll be fun. I think it puts to bed, at least for a little while, the concept that the game is solved. And because I know that's how a lot of people have felt. It's kind of like, okay, we know how to do everything. And if you're dropping 10 new crisis cards, even if, yeah, I think JP's right. I think that the community will kind of figure out how to work them and what to work them with. But especially with the number of them and now how many different permutations you can have. And if they get weird with some of them, which I'm hoping they do, you know, like bringing back a tug of war mechanic or something like a NERBs mechanic. You know, I just think I think it stops the game from feeling stale, even a little bit. I think it's a ton of fun too. But I mean, a game feeling stale is just the stink of death, and you just want to avoid that at any cost.
Yeah, absolutely. David, do you feel a similar thing of like it injects at least a little bit of freshness?
Well, I mean, we got to see what if they introduce a new threat. They make like 21 or 22. Like that could be something different.
Yeah, or 13.
Yeah, something weird.
That'd be terrible.
I don't know. It's. I mean, you could always introduce some crisis that just makes some roster like just unbeatable, right?
Yeah, you mean like Dash Guard back in the day?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, webs are already like pretty dominant on a lot of crisis. If they get if there gets to be like a 6 secure, like a 6-point secure, that could be crazy.
Well, can we all agree that within 6 months from now, they're going to have to fix at least one of them?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
they definitely are.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm sure that some of these characters that we haven't seen all of yet are going to get something at some point. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But
Yep.
you know, I'm excited for New Crisis, but I'm also excited for some of the final reveals we got in terms of the future. And this is like 2025 later, way later, maybe even 26 stuff. And it's we got Lady Mastermind, Exodus, and Avalanche, and all three of them look amazing. And if you didn't see Exodus's sweet dance moves in X-Men 97, do yourself a favor and watch that episode. I'm just saying. And then we got Echo, Tigra, and Ronin. And I don't know if you guys watched the stream. It was really funny when they were like, oh, and we're not going to reveal which Ronin this is underneath the thing. But then you go and look at the timeline, and it shows Ronin Clint Barton. Yeah. Yeah, they put the timeline up and it said Ronin Clint Barton literally right after Schick was done trying to be like, oh yeah, you know, it's a he, but we're not going to tell you which one.
I want to play poker with these guys.
Right? It was pretty great. And then last but not least of the more close, I guess, things was Spider-Man 2099, and then the big one, the exploding, amazing thing of Phoenix and Phoenix Unleashed were revealed. And I'm blowing through these because I really want to talk about the tactics cards.
Yeah.
But I got to take a second on Phoenix and Phoenix Unleashed. These models look amazing.
Yeah, that model's insane.
Right?
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm assuming it's going to be a transform thing. That's the way they made it sound.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds very transformy. But I mean, these models look amazing. Everybody's been hyped for Phoenix for a while, and I can't even imagine what she's going to do. She's got 2 like flame pillar things that come with her, and we saw with Sandman that Schick said constructs, and then he said grunts, and who knows what these things are going to be.
So pro tip, start practicing painting fire now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And OSL. Just get that OSL going.
Yeah.
Just buy Mephisto to warm up.
I see what you did there. Yeah. But I'm stoked.
I'm thinking Phoenix is going to be X-Men's affiliated kaiju.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, she definitely has to be, right? Like,
yeah, and it does say that she was a threat 6 threat character. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof, I'm stoked. Yeah. So, I'm going to do something here, and this is what I think we should do. I am going to put in a stop spot so that way you can break up this episode because we're almost going for 2 hours just on this stuff. See, and y'all knew this was going to happen, and I'm over here trying to, like, you know.
Yeah, we knew it. This is what we do.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Again, welcome to my world.
Yeah, it is what it is, you know. But that's the thing. I think it's been great discussion and all of that stuff. But people out there listening, suits out there listening, and I don't know what you guys call the spider friends that listen to you guys. Webheads. That's right. Yeah, webheads. Sorry, I knew it was something. I was listening earlier today. So webheads out there listening, what we're going to do is we're going to hit a break point right here and then have an additional episode that's going to come out, and that's going to be your second dinner, if you will, for those of you that play Marvel Snap, about these tactics cards that are coming out. So, yeah, if you want to listen to that, just follow the feed. It'll be in there. Check that stuff out. And since we're going to put a break point right here, where can people find you guys? I'll go with Patrick since he's the host.
We are Witty Banter, yet another Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast. You can find us on all the socials at Witty Bantercast. You can get in touch with us at wittybantercast@gmail.com. And you can find us at patreon.com/wittybantercast.
Yeah, do that. Go give us guys some love. It's a good time. I've enjoyed it. Y'all have a good bit of stuff. I really enjoyed your Kaiju and Web Warrior talk. That was good stuff. So make sure to do that. And also, Suits, check out patreon.com/housepartyprotocol. For as little as $1 a month or $12 a year, you can come and hang out in the best online community that has ever existed and have a good time, support the show, all of that stuff. And I really appreciate it. It's a great time over there in the HPP Discord. We goof off, have a fun time, and play games together, all that good stuff. You can send us messages at housepartyprotocolpod@gmail.com. Message me on Facebook, leave comments, all that fun stuff. Currently doing a giveaway, and I think our secret code word for this week's podcast is going to have to be collab. Or, no, that's not collab. I think it's got to be crossover event.
Yeah.
Right? Or should we say the MCP-averse? Oh,
I think let's go crossover. Everybody loves a good crossover.
I do agree with you, but I do have one more that just came to me, and just bear with me here. The MCP-averse. No?
It's your show, man.
I'm just saying. It just fits. Or does it? But no. Crossover event is the word. And if you're feeling spicy and you send me EMC Peniverse, I guess we'll just have to live that. But
that's worth 2 entries.
No, maybe. I don't know. I can't promise that because then I'd,
Depends on how big that universe is.
Well, it's tiny. It is a pocket universe.
How deep does it go?
Yes. As we ram these jokes into the ground, just definitely
ram them somewhere.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, we're getting punchy.
Yeah, much like Tech Knight in The Boys. See,
gotta find them holes.
The rails. We are way off it. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do my normal sign off and party on, gentlemen.
Party on, Will.
And power down, Suits.